and shared with everyone together with the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Good afternoon to everyone. So I'm really happy to be here to have these deep dive sessions. As mentioned by Lucia, we have started a webinar 1 month ago, which was a 45-minute presentation on the current work of the mature draft. And here we have a more longer sessions where, as mentioned by Lucia, you will have the opportunity through the Q&A folder to ask your questions. I will do my best to go step by step and also to ask you some questions. So some of the questions I will try to answer directly because they are more there to make a storytelling about this mature draft standards. And also some of them will be more open for discussions because some item I really would like to have your feedback and also to see if at the end we have time during the Q&A sessions to go deeper. So basically, the objective of this deep dive sessions is to complete the webinar that we perform on the mid of February. So you can look on the Sensenelec website or on the YouTube. You have the replay of the webinar. Is to have a kind of open discussion given the technical constraint explained by Lucia on the mature draft harmonized standards. To get feedback from the online participants. And also, which is really important for us, is to have a volunteer to join the expert group meeting. As you know, we need to have experts review what we are drafting before the standard is going to inquiry and consultation to the national standardization organizations. And I tried given the technical constraint to make a deep dive session based on quiz, which is not so easy because, as mentioned by Lucia, there are a lot of people online and difficult to have a live discussions, which will be a bit frustrating for myself, I think. The first questions, it's quite simple, is that do you know the standardization mandate from the European Commission that has been issued to prepare the harmonized standard for the CRA? Because that's what we are using today to draft these mature standards. The answer is quite simple, that the mandate M606, and based on this mandate, there is a line which is called Identity and Access Control to make it short, because the title is quite long. We used to call it line 16 because it was the line 16 of the mandate for the standardization request. And the working group, which is responsible for hosting this establishment of this draft standard, is a CEN TC224 Working Group 17, which is the group tackling normally protection profile and security issues related to EUCC and to other things. Of course, this group. This standard is not using common criteria. It's using its own way of doing the requirement against the essential requirement, and also is doing its own way for the evaluations of against the requirement. So the second question is basically, do you know the reference document which is describing the technical description of the category of important and critical product with a digital element? So this one is really fundamental because that's where you have the technical definition of what are the products covered by which category. And of course, if we go on the same cartography as previously, I added the implementing regulation 2392 from 2025. And that's where we find the technical description of the product per category, important class 1, important class 2, and criticals. So I don't know if we have comments on the Q&A things, Lucia, just to make a short synchro point after these two first quiz.
No, so far, no questions.
Okay, so if you have some question, don't hesitate to bring the number of the quiz. I put a number per quiz. So here it's quiz number 2. So if you can just tag the the questions by its number, it will be easier for us at the end.
There is as well someone asking if there is a complete list of harmonized standards that will be the ones that you need to comply to meet with the CRA. And I think here there is an important disclaimer to make that the standards are always voluntary to apply and based on your product category or categories, because maybe you have more than one product, there may be standards that will help you. And I will put here in the answer to that Q&A the list to this mandate M06 606 because there is the list of all the standards that we are developing as shown in the slide of Stefan.
Yeah, thank you, Usha. And now I'm technically able to see the Q&A folder, so thank you very much. Okay. I see also that there is a question related to important class 1 and national LOI for NIS2. Again, this seminar is more on the technical part for the standardizations, and I think there are the blueprints and the Q&A document from the Commission, Nathalie, for this kind of questions. And the last question is, are we going to share the presentation afterward? Yes, we will do it with the recording. It will be present on the said website. So for the question 2, I will go back in the quiz if you allow me. I have some slide to present which standard will enable presumption of conformity. Okay, for the question on the link with the EN 40,000-1 for 4, I will come back on this during the quiz because I have some point on that. Okay, so if it's fine for you, it's quite fine for me to go on this way. If you have questions which are related to the quiz, don't hesitate. I will do my best to answer if I'm in capacity to answer to these questions. Thank you very much. So another question, do you know the essential security requirements that are part of the CRA? So I think that's really important. And here I make just a summary. So it's not a copy and paste of the legal text. It's just a summary on the essential requirement, and we have 2 folders. The first one is requirement on product, and second one requirement on vulnerability handling. And basically, we will see a little bit later in the quiz what is the relationship with this essential security requirement and the harmonized standards, and also to answer some questions that were already present on the chat. So then this is fundamental. Do you know what is the perimeter of the mature draft harmonized standard? Because we are drafting an harmonized standard, but what is the perimeter? What is the target? And again, it's the same. The standard is just trying to explain the how, the what, the how of essential requirements, and to put it in the technical descriptions to be sure that people are able to use this standard and do what is written in the standard when it's talk about normative reference, normative ports. And here we have the link with the vulnerability handling. Each vertical standard need to be also taking into account the horizontal standards. And for the vulnerability handling part, we are also using what has been done by Angelo on these standards. Okay, so I don't see any question on the Q&A. Perfect. So the question also to try to answer to Gotan questions. Do you know why an harmonized standard is important for manufacturers, for instance? That's a fundamental question. And then I will go back to the point of Lucia. The first thing is that even if the standard is harmonized, it's still a voluntary standard. And to answer the question of the presumption of conformity, the harmonized standard provide its presumption of conformity only and only after they are cited at the European European Union journal, official journal. So it means that even if you have an harmonized standard which is validated as per the standardization process, until its reference at the European Union journal is not considered as providing presumptions of conformity. What you have to know also is that this process is fundamental to reach the objective. So, what is the impact for manufacturer if there is no harmonized standards? Because we will see in the quiz that there is a list of harmonized standards under preparations. But if there is no harmonized standard for important class 1 product, that the class where belongs the identity and access control, what is happening? It's quite simple. For the product, the important product class 1, it will not be possible to use the module A assessment procedure to make its conformity marking and declaration of conformity. Then it means that you need to have third-party assessments. And then it means that you need to have a notified body external that will be performing the assessment of the conformity against the essential requirement of the CRA. And then it means that the harmonized standard is really powerful tools, because if they are available, you can use them to make your own assessment using the module A for the assessment procedure. So that's really important. Of course, it doesn't mean that you don't have the right to ask to a third party to do also an assessment, but it means that it's not mandatory. You can do it like you do with the module A assessment methodology. Yeah, this one, Patrick, is a really good question. And I think Lucia is trying to answer it. Maybe you can take the floor, Lucia, on this one.
No, I was going to simply type what you were going to answer.
Okay, good. So if you go on the CRA assessment methodology, you have different way of doing it. And yes, the module H is one of the options for the assessment procedure. You are right. But it means that you need to have a certified quality management system. And I think there are still some questions on how to define the target of the quality management system, and also the link, from what I understood. But I will go with precautions, because that's an important topic. You need to have 2701 certified quality management system, knowing that it is more a cybersecurity requirement document than a management quality system. So I think, Patrick, to answer your questions, we have to wait also some guidelines on how to implement the module H.
This information is also in the Q&A, so I'm going to send the link also to this question.
Yeah, thank you, Lucia. So that's what I put a disclaimer, and it's better to go to look on the Q&A from the Commission to have a precise and clear answer. Okay. So quiz number 7, do you know the different product categories of the CRA? And I think that's really important, because based on my experience, people are a little bit lost to know where their products are going sometimes. So basically, it's quite simple. You have 4 different categories. So you have the default, which are all the products that are connectable and not part of the implementing act that we saw a little bit earlier in the quiz, from the implementing regulation 2025-2392. And basically, the products that are listed in this implementing act, they are classified with important class 1, important class 2, and critical. And I try to put some examples of which products are belong the important class 1, important class 2, and the critical. And as you can see in green color, you will find some of the products which are part of the line 16 harmonized standards. And you have access control system, wallet, biometric reader, identity for natural, legal, and so on and so forth. And as mentioned by Lucia, it's important to know that this harmonized standard is one of the broader one, and you have a lot of products which are belonging to this category. I think we have a question from Falco. Yes, in fact, you are right. What we are doing here, it's for organizations. It's not from home appliance, and the home appliance is covered by another product category.
I propose, Stefan, maybe we can tackle several slides because I can imagine that some answers will appear in your future slides. So maybe participants will see their answers as we advance in the presentation. And in the meantime, I will try to back you up and type some of the answers.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the classification of product. And I think what is important is really to find your product in the right class and to make the mapping with the standardization request to make sure that you know which standard are applicable to your product. So, really important question, and also for transparency reason when drafting the document. Do you know who is the team drafting the mature draft harmonized standards? So to answer this question is quite simple. They are all the people which have been registered to the expert group to draft these standards. And here I will put a call for volunteer. We are seeking also some volunteer to join this group to help us to make the mature draft standard as good as possible. And more people are contributing, the more the standard will have the right level of quality and maturity. And at the end, during the Q&A, if you have some questions, Lucia and myself can explain you how to join this group to make sure that you can work with us as a team. So here I will not go into the detail, but you have the list of the people which are registered. I think one or two are still missing because I've not updated my list. Sorry about that. But as you can see, you have different contributors from different environments, from the public and the private sectors. And as mentioned, this group is managed under a MARC group, which is the TC, sorry, Technical Committee 224, Working Group 17. Okay. Okay, and here I think I have a good answer from Clifton. Yeah, it's quite simple. You just need to send a mail to Mark and to say that you want to join the group, and you can put me in copy, basically, and Lucia in copy. Okay. For the when the draft Lean 16 will be available for the inquiry, we will see it. We will see it a little bit later in the slide. Yes, regarding Stefano's question, the line 16 is a number of the line for the standardization requests, while the number of the line from the implementing act is line number 1. So that's why it's important to know the difference between the standardization request and the implementing act. Okay. So I keep some question for afters. Okay. Quiz number 9. Do you know the expected planning of the harmonized standards? So what we are now, we are at the drafting and consensus building. And then the the draft will be sent to public inquiry. So we are doing our best to have we are doing our best to have the public inquiry somewhere in April. That's the idea. Quiz number 10. Do you know the technical description of the product covered by these harmonized standards? So what is important is that this product category is quite heavy. So here you have the text which is extracted from the technical description from the Implementing Act. So I will try to read it and to make some break between the lines. What is important first is that we have a statement which is saying that identity management system are products with digital elements that provide mechanism for authentication or authorization, and may also provide mechanism for the lifecycle management of identity credential of natural person, legal person, device, system, such as identity registration, providing maintenance and deregistrations. So here, that's one of the things that we have to manage, is that we talk about system also that are products, because each system is composed by sub-products. And that's what we try to do in the mature draft, is to have a clear product definitions, what is inside, what is in the scope, what is not in the scope, and to make sure that we are covering all the products that are used for identity management system, including their life cycle and the registration and the provisioning. We have also, as part of this identity management system, all what the things which are related to access control system that control access to, again, natural legal person, device or system, to digital resource or physical resources. So it means that, again, the scope is pretty broad because we have the physical access and the digital access to 4 different items, which are natural person, legal person, basically a legal person being companies or associations, devices, and systems to digital resources of physical locations. In complement of that, we have also the privileged access management software, which is considered as an access management system that control and monitor access right to IT or OT system and sensitive information within an organization, including system enforcing differentiate access control policies and privileged users. So also that's really important to see that what we are doing here are for organization and none for home appliance. So it means that the home appliance is also covered in other standards. Yep. So to complement this, which is the continuity of the previous text, this category include but not limited to authentication, access control reader, biometric reader, single sign-on software, federated identity management software, one-time password, hardware authentication device, such as transaction, authentication number, generators, authentication software, and multi-authentication software. So that's the perimeters of our work. So I see that there are some questions, so I will just try to answer some of them. Lucia, if you agree.
Perfect.
Yeah, here what we have to see is that the biometric reader are considered as class 1 important product for organizations. Then when it comes to home appliance, I think he has to go to the standardization covering home appliance use case. Yeah, okay. So then I will go to the next slide, which are part of still of the same quiz. So here I just put a summary, and of course this line is far from being completed because in the harmonized standard draft, mature draft, we have much more products which are included, but it's just to give an overview. So what is important is that what is in the scope, of course, is hardware and software that are composing system, because as we saw from the beginning, we are talking about identity management system that are considered as product. So we have identity product that are managing the identity of legal person, natural, and object and system. And I put some items just to give examples, which are not complete, like identity wallet, digital travel credential, mobile driving license, middleware, which are used to use this kind of device, but also national registry, biometric database, and also all the things related to identity verifications, gate, entry, exit, border management, and so on and so forth. Then we have the online authentication token. We have the physical and logical access product for employee. Again, not for home appliance, but for employee and organizations. So you find the traditional reader, local unit, access control, and supervision software, two-factor authentication, OTP tokens, but also the lock, which are related to physical access control. And in some extensions, also when it's related to physical access control, anti-intrusions to make the use case of not allowing non-authorized people to access to the building. Then we have the privileged access management software, and we have also by the fact that we have to manage the identity of objects, we have also the electronic identification product, like the digital product passport. And of course, you will see in the Annex A and B of the draft harmonized standards, a list of products which are used to fulfill this objective. What is really important is what is not in the scope. So what is not in the scope? I put a few examples. The first thing is that all the other products which are classified important class 1, important class 2, and critical, which are covered by other harmonized standards. And I just put some examples which are used for managing identity system, like the chip, the embedded operating system, the applets. So they are not part of the standard because they are covered already by other harmonized standards. But also, most of the time, you need the PKI system of products to run the identity management. They are not in the scope of the standards because they are managed by another harmonized standards. And basically, all other cybersecurity products that are need to secure IT infrastructure around identity system are not part of the standard because they are covered by other harmonized standards. And then basically, that's what I try to explain, is that all the other products that are covered by other harmonized standards are not covered. And also all the products which are default are not covered by this standard. And I put a note that all anti-fire detector products for organization are not in the scope, because at the beginning we thought that maybe it will be linked to a physical access control, because when it's burning, you need to open the doors, or you need to make it connected. But now it's clear that anti-fire detector products for organization are considered as default product for organizations, and I think they are considered as critical class 1 for home appliance, basically. So if you agree, I would just look on the question on the questions. What if you're going to apply to the product? Yeah. Here, maybe, Lucia, we need your help for the question from Yavad. To my understanding, yes, the same product used for organization or for home appliance will have to follow two different harmonized standards. Maybe you can help me on this one, Lucia?
Sorry, Stefan, I was trying to unmute myself and
No problem.
while I was answering the question. So I think I recommend there is a very nice material, if not read yet, at the Q&A about what a core functionality is and different approaches that there can be taken. There is also the concept of due diligence. So I advise to follow that first, and also would like to clarify that we can't give you really all of the recipe on how to interpret the CRA legal text, but we are rather focusing on this particular standard. But I understand that there are questions that are related, just to set the right expectation that we may not be the 100% right people to answer all of your questions. I will get you the Q&A link in the chat.
Thank you very much, Lucia, for your help. Then I have some question on the 62443. Daniel, I will go back later on in the slide. I have some answer for you on this one. Then, if we carry on the standard himself, and I think, as mentioned by Lucia, this deep dive is really to focus on the harmonized standards for the line 16 and for identity management system. And I think, as mentioned by Lucia, most of the questions that you have on legal things are related to the Q&A or the blue guidelines, and they are the one that can give you a clear answer. So, do you know the structure of these harmonized standards? I think not yet. So I will try to make you discover it. What is important is that I focus only on the parts that are making sense, which are really important. There are three important parts in the standards, that we call it clause 4, clause 5, and clause 6. First one is a product context, which is informative, and we will dig a little bit deeper on this product context in the coming slides. And if you have some question on that, we'll be really interested to have your feedback, because this product context is really important and also quite complex to perform within the broader scope of this harmonized standards. The clause 5 and the part 5 is quite simple. They are corresponding to the security requirements, basically. And the clause 6 is also fundamental. So I will focus more on the clause 6 and the 5, because in fact, this is a conformity assessment against the normative requirements. So again, the clause 5. Basically with that, you have the core structure of the standards. And of course, you have appendices. Some appendixes are informative and some appendixes are normative. It means that you need to use them either for the part 5 or for the part 6, clause 5 and clause 6. So, just to answer the question, if you know the difference between informative and normative clauses in the standard, that's really important. The normative clauses are mandatory. So it means that you need to comply with this requirement, to comply with the standard. And the informative clauses, they are clauses that are optional or guidance, to give you some example, but they are not mandatory. So they are not part of the mandatory requirement of the standard. And I think that's really important. And that's why I explained the structure of the standard with the clause 4 being informative and the clause 5 and 6 being normative and being the core of the harmonized standard. So, from your point of view, why the clause 4 is informative? That's really fundamental questions. The harmonized standard can only define security requirements and shall not impose any functional requirement. And that's fundamental. We are not here to define how the product should work. We should define what are the security requirements to be fulfilled, to be compliant with the essential requirements, the essential security requirement for the CRA. And also we have to pay attention that this security requirement, this technical security requirement, should not over specify than the one which are requested by the essential requirement from the CRA. So what is important is that we introduce in the clause 4 the notion of use case. So I don't know if you have an idea of what is a use case in the case of these harmonized standards. So I will try to answer it. answer it myself, basically. The use case is a unique combination of a specific user category, a specific product environment, and a set of product functions. So they are the three pillars of this use case. And basically, that's fundamental because based on this use case, again, which are informative, it doesn't mean that the use case is limited. It's just some example of use case. And based on this use case, the manufacturer may perform a security analysis, pre-used predefined security provided by the harmonized standard, and apply security product requirement attached to each security profile. So that's really important. And in the harmonized standard, the seed for starting a security analysis and then to bridge it to security profile and then bridge it to associated security cybersecurity product requirements is the use case. Okay, that's really important. Okay. If you allow, we started 45 minutes ago. If it's fine for everyone to have 2-minute breaks, set the time just to relax my voice and have some waters, and we can break for 2 minutes. Lucia, is that okay for you?
Absolutely. Let's take some minutes until 1:45 p.m. and then we're. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So thank you for your patience. Um, Yep, okay. So let's go to the quiz number 15. Uh, why do you know why the clause 4 is, which is corresponding to the product context, is very important? Uh, why it is informative? It's really important because the clause 4 provides some guidance on the preset of use case. That's what we discuss. And again, the preset of use case is not meaning that you are not allowed to do other use case. It's just that we have defined some use case in the draft standard. This use case allow you to bridge environment, users, product functions, and the clause 4 will also be which also allow to link the use case with security analysis and security profile. And that's really important because at the end, you need to have this hierarchy of use case, security analysis, and security profile. So then I have a question is that, do you know what is the difference between the cyber risk analysis and the security analysis? Because we are using security analysis in the mature draft standards, and most of you know about risk analysis and not security analysis. So that's quite simple. The cyber risk analysis is not a technical items, it's a legal aspect, which is part of the legal obligation of the CRA. And then for us, in the harmonized standard, we should not put some legal requirement, but just technical requirement. So then what we have here, it's a security analysis, which is part of the technical activity of the harmonized standards. And what is important to see is that when you have the security analysis performed in the harmonized standard, it can be also a tool for the manufacturers to prepare its legal obligation for the cyber risk analysis. And that's really important to understand that what we are doing in the standard is just technical activities, not legal one. And so that's why we call it security analysis. And we have created a bridge, how to bridge the asset, the threats, and the risk, plus the way that we code the severity to bring this security analysis at the basis of output of security profile. And we will see a little bit later on in the quiz, the presentation, which security profile are available on the mature draft standard. Okay. So the quiz is that, do you know the number of security profile that are currently present in the harmonized standards? So there are three. So we have set up three security profile: the basic one, the substantial one, and the high level security profile. As you can see, the three levels defined in the harmonized standards allow some harmonizations toward other environment. And basically, when you have a basic security profile, which are defined following the security analysis, you just need to apply the clause 5 of the standards. Then when you have a substantial security profile, you need to apply the basic security profile plus vulnerability testing at Avavan 2 level, plus make sure that the conformity of your crypto algorithm are compliant with the ENISA agreed crypto mechanism. And then for the high security profile, you have the substantial level plus Avavan 3 for the vulnerability testing, plus a code review of the crypto functions to make sure that the crypto functions are well implemented in the code of the product. So here, if you have some questions on the Q&A, I will be interested to have a look to see if you have well understood the bridge between security profile with the three levels. Yes, the substantial and high are mentioned in the clause 5, exactly, Clifton, sorry. Where there is a typo, SB. No, it's a substantial. Yes, it's a typo. You are right. It's a S. It's not a B. Sorry. It's a typo mistake. Thank you. Okay. Then I will look. For Nathalie, there is no link between existing certification scheme and the CRA clause 5, but you can use some evidence to demonstrate that you can use potentially cybersecurity certifications that have this level of resistance to potential attack, but you have to make sure that the product certification is having the full scope of the product, because as you know, when you are doing cybersecurity evaluations, you may have a reduced scope of the product, while on the CRA, it's a complete product that should be compliant with the essential requirements. Okay, I don't see any more question on the Q&A for these slides. So we take the assumption that it's clear for everyone, and move forward. Okay. The following question is that why the security profile are based on AVA-VAN level? Because AVA-VAN is known on some other activities, but in fact, what we realize is that with the AVA-VAN level, it's really interesting because it structure and recognize security levels with different AVA-VAN level. And the AVA-VAN is already bridged to low, medium, and high profile. It's also aligned with international proven framework. It's used, of course, in some certification scheme like the EU Common Criteria. It's mature, tested, and well understood in the ecosystem. It's also easier to map the risk between different security analysis or security risk. And also, it provides a measurable evaluation of the AVA-VAN to make sure that when you are resistant to AVA-VAN 2 or AVA-VAN 3, you can have a repeatable measurement, basically. And also, it facilitates the work of notified body and also for the market surveillance authority, and also is scalable across different product type. And as we have a really broad product which are covered by the line 16, it's allowed to have something transversal to set up the vulnerability testing. What is important also to know, it doesn't mean that you need to have a third-party certification to demonstrate this level of resistance. If you have your internal resources, you can use or your own internal testing to demonstrate the level of resistance against this profile of resistance. And that's really important because, as you know, the objective of the harmonized standards is to allow the manufacturer to do its declaration of conformity without any third-party help, basically. And then you have several cases. The case that you were mentioning, Nathalie, that you have already AVA-VAN 3 certification under a certification scheme, so you can reuse this evidence to demonstrate your AVA-VAN level, or you can set up your own test to demonstrate that you are reaching this AVA-VAN level. Okay, I don't see any more question on the Q&A. Here it's also fundamental because to perform the security analysis, we need to have a risk registry. So the quiz is quite simple, is that do you know the risk registry present in harmonized standards? So I think the answer for most of you is no, but this is the opportunity to try to present it to you. Here, if you have some question also, don't hesitate to put it on the Q&A. That's will be really important. Here we have been working with some colleagues to define this risk registry. What is important also to know is that this risk registry is just a proposal. And of course, if we want to make the risk registry of all products which are covered, we may come with a book of 300 pages. So we took the decision within the expert group to limit the number of risks and just to make sure that at least these risks are covered during the security analysis. And we keep the level of risk descriptions at a certain level of abstractions to make sure that we can apply this risk registry to several product types. So on this one, if you have some questions on the Q&A, don't hesitate. We can take some time on this risk registry, which is quite important. Yeah. I think here again for the risk assessment, it's a legal obligation, Lubos. So I will bring back to you to the Q&A document. Yeah. Okay, so I don't see any more questions. I will go further. So then, do you know what are the assets present in the harmonized standard? So that's also fundamental to define a list of minimum assets to be protected. So here we have defined some assets, of course, which are identity proof, credential and authenticators, biometric reference and template, assertion and token, attribute, policy artifact, decisions status, session state and binding, audit log, cryptographic key and credential, secure channel, software configuration and code source, lifecycle record, and sensitive data stored. So these assets are the minimum assets to be protected by this kind of product, which are covered by the category identity management system. Of course, if you see other assets to be protected, don't hesitate to contribute to increase this number of assets. So then we go to the traits. Yes, to answer Clifton, basically what we are doing in the standards, we are asking, we are during the security profile, we take care about the risk following the use case. That's the idea. And we have some methodology which are currently under refining to bridge use case, security profile, risk, asset, and threats, basically. Yeah, that's a good point, Nathalie. Linkability, and so this one we can. I will take it as a contribution for the update of the document. Do you have then traceability of the risk to the mitigation related requirement the clause 5? Yes, it's through the security profile. Okay, so then we can go to the threats model. So here I'm really sorry, the threats are much bigger. So what I did is that I put the Word document in the presentations, and then I cannot see all the threats. So I don't know if I can open it. No, I cannot open it. But here you have a long list of threats that we have listed, and we have put the related risk that we have just saw previously. And again, this is a threats model that we have worked with the expert group. So I will not read all the things, but as you can see, you have several threats that are listed in this document. Okay, so now we have covered, I will say, mostly the part 5. and the part 4, which is informatic, and the clause 5, which is normative. And then what is important is to well understand. So it's not expert group; it's the group which is drafting the standard, Clifton. So what are the objective of the clause 6? It's really important. While it's a way that you will assess your compliance with the requirements that are expressed in the clause 5. So basically, what we did, we defined a way of doing the testing. So of course, the objective is not to provide a testing plan for a given product. So the testing plan is the responsibility of the manufacturer, for instance. But we need to provide a way to make sure that we have a methodology to demonstrate that the manufacturer, when using the harmonized standards, have some proof and some methodology to say, okay, I have a requirement. How should I assess this requirement? So what we did is that we did two things. We define several items on the way that we should have the testing requirements. So the first one, I give you an example. So basically, the requirement on the clause 5 is a clause 5.1, which is related to the software bill of material, the SBOM, for instance, and the requirement is called RD5 SBOM. So that's what you find in the clause 5. Then you need to explain what is the assessment objective. So here we say that in the standard, the objective assessment is to enable vulnerability monitoring and supply chain risk management. We have some assessment input. So that's what you need to do to start the assessment. So you need the SBOM file, basically. Then you have an assessment activity, and I will go back a little bit later on this assessment activity. Then you have the assessment verdict. When the assessment is passed or when the assessment is failed. And then you have the output assessment. It means that what you have created during the assessment, so a copy of the SBOM file, and you have also SBOM validation log that you can keep for the evidence. What is important is that in the assessment activity, we have worked with the project management team to harmonize the assessment of the clause 6. And then we agreed to use a methodology which is based on EADT, which is based on the inspection, audit, demonstrate, and test. And then basically, if we look on the SBOM, we will do two kinds of activity, inspections and analyze, audit. So the first one is to inspect the SBOM file locations. The second is to audit, analyze the format. The third one will be to audit a top list level dependency, and then to inspect for required field. Do you have component name, version, license, and supplier? And then the assessment verdict is passed if you have a valid SBOM is provided with at least top level dependencies with required fields, and fail if the SBOM is missing, malformat, or lack of information of the versions. And that's applied to all requirements. So it means that the clause 6 is a list of tests that you have to do. And you need to take the clause 6 and then to apply it to your product and to have the evidence that you have done the test, basically. Okay. So, Stefano, for your question, the harmonized standard is the mature draft standard that we are setting for the line 16, which are covering identity management system plus all the other products. So then, what is important? Yeah, in fact, here this is what I'm presenting is a copy and paste of one of the clause 6 assessment tests, basically. So you have RD5 is part of the clause 5, which is related to SBOM, And all this slide here is copy and paste from the mature draft, where you have the description of how you perform the assessment against the requirement 5.1, basically. So, really important question is that, do you know what is a market surveillance authority? That's important to know. And this is related also to the testing that we see. So basically, the market surveillance authority, it means a market surveillance authority that are making the verification of can make control on the markets that the product placed on the market are compliant with the essential requirement specification from the CRA. And what is important is, do you know the link between the clause 6, which is a testing, and the market surveillance authority? That's really important, is that you have input or output element of the clause 6 that are used as preparation or evidence, and they can be used by evidence during the market surveillance authority control, because as per the CRA, the market surveillance authority can do some control of some products. And also, what is important is that you have to look on the Q&A and on the CRA. You have some fines that are defined, so there's several levels into the CRA. So basically, the clause 6 needs to be well established, well done, in order that the manufacturer knows what to do in terms of testing for the verifying the compliance with the requirement of the clause 5, and this can be used also by the MSA during their control. So what is important also is that to perform the clause 6, as you saw in the previous slides, you need to have assessment preparations. So what we've done is that we work with several rapporteurs of the different harmonized standards and to define an assessment preparation category. So it means that's what you need to prepare before to perform the assessment. So we define some tag, just to be clear when we do the testing. The category, so basically we have several categories, and the purpose and some examples. So here on the category, you have product characterizations, you have product composition and boundaries, risk and applicability, threats coverage matrix, security architecture and security function, cryptographic specification, software bill of material, test environment, configuration, precondition initial state, tool required, and documentation reference guidance. So basically, you need to prepare your assessment preparation with all this kind of category of elements. And again, the objective is to make sure that the clause 6 is well understood and you know what to use to prepare the evaluation and what you have as an input of the assessment. And that's a link with the other questions. If you know the assessment evidence, which are part of the clause 6, and here what we've done, we have eight category, which are the log, execution log and output, to show what was executed. You have the system configurations. You have the product composition evidence. You have the risk threats applicability. You have the architecture and implementations, the enforcement evidence, the platform capability, and the product documentations to demonstrate, like a user guide, administrator guide, installation guide, that are given as an example of this category. So then we had a question from the beginning, and the question is that, do you know if it is possible to reuse some document or evidence from other voluntary standards? And I think it was the question from the 62443. Yes, you can use some evidence for the preparations, but you need to respect the clause 6. So it means that you need to demonstrate that you have performed the test according to the test presented in the clause 6. And then, of course, for the clause 5, you can use also some documents that are already produced for some other evaluations. And for instance, in the clause 5, you can do some mapping with the requirement of the clause 5 and the requirement from the 62443, for example. And of course, you can use some documents from these standards to verify that you have done the requirement correctly. But again, at the end, even if the 62443 is well done, you cannot use it to make the conformity against this mature draft harmonized standard. You need to have all the elements from the clause 6, which are the testing procedure. Okay. So we have a question again from the clause 5 and 6. It's quite simple. Clause 5 is a requirement, and in the requirement you have also some guidance and some informations what the requirement means. And the clause 6 is that the clause 6 is to have the testing procedure to verify that you are compliant with the clause 5 requirement. So then we have another question, is that do you know the remote data processing service principle? And I think it's really important to understand that it is a game changer, because what is important to know is that if a product needs to have a remote system to be operational, and if it is developed by or for the manufacturer, you need to apply the essential requirement into this remote data process services. So basically, what is important, if we take the example of a mobile application which is used for digital identity wallet, for instance, most of the mobile apps need a server SDK to be running, up and running, and this SDK may be running on a Docker container, for instance, running on the cloud, whatever it is, public, private, or whatever. And basically, this server SDK, as you need it to manage the mobile application, whatever the code or the data, will be part of the product. So it means that the server SDK is fully embedded in the product, and then it means that the product should be compliant with the essential requirements. That's really important to understand, and this brings a large scope on the product. And again, you have to apply the requirement on this server SDK. Okay. Then what is important is also if you know the voluntary transversal CRA standards. So they are informative. So we have some standard that's been listed in the Q&A. So we have the cybersecurity requirement for product with digital element, which is the vocabulary. Cybersecurity requirement for product with digital element principle for cyber resilience. We have cybersecurity requirement for product with digital element with the vulnerability handling. We discuss it. Previously. And this has been used also for drafting the mature draft to make sure that we have an alignment with this informative standard. And now I'm coming to most likely to the end of this deep dive. My question to you is that do you feel comfortable to employ this harmonized standard for your important product class 1 covered for identity management system? I think that would be interesting to have your feedback, but I guess that you need more time to answer these questions. Yes, not yet. I was expecting this. So what I propose to you before to move to to the end. We have few questions, Lucia, extra questions. So from Patrick, do you have to do a supplier assessment for the infrastructure providers? Maybe you can help me to answer this one for RDPS, Lucia.
I am not technical enough, I'm afraid, to be able to help you with this, Stefan.
Yeah, normally it's just the SDK on the Docker that you have to assess because the supporting IT infrastructure is not part of the product because it's considered as a service, not as a product. So I think it's try to answer your question, Patrick. Then we have Nathalie. Okay, it's a comment. Then we have from Robin, we have questions. In fact, the conformance will be performed only on the vertical standards. And what we have pay attention that the vertical standards are in line with the horizontal voluntary standards, Robin. Maybe you can complement, Lucia, on this one?
It's the question from Robin, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so in this case, we have the generic framework, which is about the processes of an organization. And in principle, if there is no vertical standard, that can be a good basis, a good basic framework. However, when there is a vertical standard, it is better to follow directly the vertical standard, that inside the vertical standard already there is any kind of reference to other frameworks will be explained in the vertical standard. So for example, is the reference to the -3 standard, so the vulnerability handling, it will be specifically detailed and described in the vertical standard. So if, for example, you are a manufacturer and you acquire the standard that Stefan is presenting here in the future, then you will, in principle, get the full guidance, and the documents that are required to complement are going to be listed in the chapter of normative references. In general, I would like to mention that the standard -1, it is a high-level process activity. So they address the total product life cycle. They try to define the goals that need to be achieved. They have the minimum expected outcomes. It's very broad, and the vertical standard will be much more granular and will already be superseding, let's say, in a way, because of the granularity, what the most framework basic standard does. So I hope that is clarifying a little.
Thank you, Lucia. Okay, so then we have a question from Atomac. Assuming we have a lot of comments. Okay, it's a question on the process, Lucia. The question is that I assume that the SEN and CRA will have a lot of comments. Is there an expected time when the official UN standard will be finalized as the CRA is already in force?
Yes, so for this we will, if the inquiry starts in April, the inquiry normally is open for 12 weeks in every of our standards. So you can count May, June, July. So these months will be busy with the standard, with the inquiry. And indeed, we will have then around August, all of the comments, August, mid-July, depending exactly on the dates. And the idea is that Stefan is very well aware of this, and also his working group. And we need to do a lot of planning and project management, because we need to use every meeting very efficiently to try to solve all the comments fast, so that we can start the formal vote, so the final stage, still before the Q4 of this year, at the beginning of the Q4 of this year. So that will give us indeed some reassurance that well before the entry into force of the CRA in December 2027, there can be a final draft already in circulation under approval, let's say, still this year. That is the main goal. But it is a good observation, Falco. You're completely right that we have a lot of work and a lot of comments will come.
Yeah, thank you, Lucia. For Alexandra, yes, if you have a PIN verification, yes, you need to have a RDPS for the PIN management. So then, yes, the PIN management become part of the RDPS because it's part of the product, basically. Then, yes, for Kerti, yes, you will have the recording available on the same website. And then for Peter, I think I'm not familiar with the AN 50770, but I think it's the same answer. You can reuse some of the evidence from other standards, but you shall comply to the clause 6 of the harmonized standards to enjoy the usage of the harmonized standards. And I think, Lucia, it was also expressed, I think I don't know if it's in the Q&A or not. I don't remember, but I think it's really important to understand that only harmonized standard, when they are cited, the European Journal provides this presumption of conformity and not the other voluntary sectorial standard, basically.
There is a very good observation from Natalie saying that there is this guide of the RDPS. So
Yes.
I will type an answer to her question with the link to the guide. So thank you very much, Natalie, for pointing us to this resource. And I do want to say that there are a lot of resources outside from the Commission. Maybe some of you know it, maybe this is new to you, but these are definitely worthwhile having a look. They didn't exist some months ago, so it's really interesting all what is happening, a lot of effort in the implementations of the CRA.
Yeah, okay. And then organic pattern question, yes, basically, I think anticipation will be important. Yeah, for Peter question, maybe Lucia will try to answer. But I don't know if the TC 65X working to 3 is currently drafting an harmonized standard. So I don't know, Peter, I'm not able to answer your question. I don't know if you, Lucia, you have some input on that.
I'm checking here. So indeed, the standard that Peter is mentioning, the EN 50770, that is a series of standards that are related to security profiles, basically, that the 65X, the Senelec TC 65X is developing, and they are basing these profiles purely on the operational technology side of the topic, because ETSI is handling the other part of the scope, which is IT parts related to the same products. And for this, I think I would like to point you, Peter, to a very good webinar that we had some months ago, where our project leader presents this correlation, let's say here. Maybe you know it already, or maybe you are part of the working group. In that case, I apologize. But Stefan, for you to close then the question, in your standard, do you have any correlation between the activities of your standard and the ones being developed at the 65X?
Not yet, not identified liaison, Lucia.
Then there is a follow-up. Yes, yes, thank you for saying this. Indeed. So I think the idea is, Peter, to have the same structures in the different verticals, and all the work being developed for the CRA in the verticals at Sensenelec and ETSI. We are putting a lot of effort in trying to have the same structure in the standards and the same type of approach for the assessment, for the use cases. And indeed, that is the recommendation is that it should be harmonized. Yes, absolutely. And this is what we are trying to do. And it is an important part of our work as well, to try to have at least the same approach or for the manufacturers that will have to use different FAR standards. Yes, I agree. Harmonization will be great. That's what we're trying to do. And if you're part of the working group at the 65X, that's also something that you can contribute. Maybe, Stefan, I propose, it seems like we will for sure not occupy the 4 hours of the webinar, but maybe we can try to focus a little bit more now in the technical parts of your standards or your scope, your threats. And I would like to open the microphone for some speakers who would like to very bravely raise your questions. So it is possible for the attendees to raise your hands. We're not going to be able to tackle 120 hands. So we will choose some of you and just to steer a little bit the discussion. So now the floor is open for hands to be raised. And so we will give you a moment to reflect on this and then open the mic for you. Okay, we have a first volunteer, so thank you very much, Clifton. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
A little low.
Okay, is this better?
Yes.
All right, thank you once again, Stephanie and Lucia, for this fantastic presentation. Many topics are cleared. So I just want to know how, so let me put it this way, if I understood, there's a mature draft specification available. Where is that open for maybe review comments? When is the time period when these comments can be sort of discussed with you and Stephanie as a rapporteur? And by when should these comments be closed?
If I can take that one, Stefan. So there is a difference. Some colleagues in the call, some experts in the call are already part of the CEN TC 224 working group 17 or any of the working groups, and that makes life for those people a little bit simpler. So which is your case, Clifton, you're already part of the group. So you can just simply join us in the discussions. They take place weekly, every Friday. And you will have access to the document very, very quickly. And I will take a moment to answer them for the colleagues that are not part of the working group. So they need to identify which is their CEN member. So everyone is based on a country or your company is based on a country. So for that, you can Google if you want or check in the answer questions, the link I placed, the different CEN members, and you will find the national standardization body for each of the different countries. And simply go on their website and contact them and let them know you would like to join the activity. So in a nutshell, to join the activities, if you're already part of the working group, the draft is easily accessible. Otherwise, there are some administrative steps to take to join the group. And final point, if you don't want to take so much hassle and take part of the working group, then anyone will be able to contribute via the public inquiry. And we hope to release the public inquiry document very, very soon in the month of April. So there you will have around 12 weeks to comment and see the draft. The draft will become publicly available. And I guess you will have other questions, Clifton. So I let you unmute yourself again if you wish.
No, it's clear. So at least I understood. I can join your weekly meetings. I hope you can send me the link, and probably there's one possibility to review and give some comments. Plus, at the end of April, you will open it up for a 12-week period where there's an additional time period to give further comments and improve the document. Thank you. That's what I understood.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's see if there is any other hand raised. Okay, we have 2 other volunteers. So I unmuted the first one. Please go ahead. If you want to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, this is Alexander Moshe speaking. We are not part of the technical committee on standardization. In part, just part of the public who joined. My question is, when can the public expect to see and where as well first draft of the standard?
Thank you very much. So we are aiming to have the public inquiry starting around mid-April. So for which Stefan will have to finish the draft standard by the first week of April so that we can prepare the document and send it to everyone. So there are different ways of accessing the documents, and I will share now one example. So for instance, it depends on where your country is. If you would like to comment in your own language, then it's always better to Google your own standardization body, and then there is a way to try to find the drafts that are available for public inquiry. So in the chat for everyone, I'm going to paste here in the chat one example from Belgium, where people who navigate in there can see all the drafts that are now open to the public inquiry. You can even distinguish between European standards, national standards. And CEN has 34 members in different countries. So if you prefer to comment in your own language, then it's better to try to find the same alternative, the same channel via your own country.
There was some kind of GitLab, I think from Etsy.
Yes.
Some kind of lab, and
that's
Yeah.
a good question because we have a little different of policies. For Sen and Selelec, the first moment when we are allowed to make the draft public is at the inquiry, at the national inquiries, public inquiries, and this is because of some intellectual property rights and copyrights and administrative aspects that prevent us from sharing the draft before the inquiry. But once the inquiry starts, which is going to be very soon, then the drafts are available in that mechanism. Therefore, we don't put it in the GitLab at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Are there any other hands that someone maybe that you typed your question in the chat and we didn't understand you or we didn't answer to you? I see another participant and I will give him the floor.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so I have been multitasking today. So I had a question on chat. I'm not sure whether this was addressed, so I'm just like reiterating that. So this is about the open source maintainers and their responsibilities. So I understand that an open source maintainer, they do not have to follow, like they are not under the CRA requirements to follow any sort of compliance. But that being said, are there activities that are suggested for open source maintainers to follow in the harmonized standard? Thank you.
If you want, I can take it the part on my standards.
Yes.
Okay. Basically, I will just be able to answer you on my parameters. If a producer or developer or manufacturer is using open source software, for instance, and includes this open source software into this product, I is the one placing the product on the market, it will be liable for the complete product, including third party from open source. That's basically the rules. Then for more broad open source things, I don't have any competence to answer your question.
I have a solution, and there was a very nice event organized. The name is FOSSEM, and here there was a very good presentation by the Commission and complemented by one of the German colleagues with great expertise in open source. So I will leave here the chat in the chat the link. I'm not sure if all the answers will be there, but definitely if you're looking for some items for the open source, this is your place to be. Okay, Stefan, I'm not sure if in the chat you have seen anything you would like to answer forward. I see another couple of hands. I will grant permission again. So we have Alexander.
Hi, it's Alexander Sen. I have one question for Stefan regarding the applicability of the of this part of harmonized standard with the solutions for identity, software solutions for identity and access management, let's say similar to open source Keycloak. But let's say that we have either some kind of commercial offering around Keycloak. So does this standard apply to such solution?
Basically, if you are packaging your own product based on open source and you sell it and you place it on the market with your brand, yes.
What I meant is, does it apply? Does it fit to this category?
Yes, it fits to this category. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Let me see. There was another hand raised, but I don't see it anymore. Anything, Stefan, that you would like to choose from the chat or add as a comment from yourself?
I think from the chat we have everything, and we have a proposal from Falco, which is interesting. Is to send the participant at least an email when the public inquiry will be open. So I don't know if it is technically feasible or not. But,
unfortunately not, because we don't have only the standard, we have thousands of standards.
Okay, good.
We cannot, apologies, we cannot offer this kind of service.
Yeah.
But we would like them to make sure that you stay connected in a way. I think it would be nice if we were able to do this. We can't, unfortunately, but you will see it, I think, a lot if you're connected in social media. There is a lot of comments every time there is an inquiry open. For example, there is now the inquiries of the 62443 standards, and I have seen already a lot of comments about it. And so yes,
Okay.
so that's the max we can offer for now.
So then I will put also a message on my LinkedIn webpage to say that the public inquiry on the harmonized
Voilà, you can follow Stefan.
You can follow me, and it will be the email list.
Excellent.
Okay. Then I have a point from Clifton again. Are the requirements also based on common criteria? No. We are not following the requirement of common criteria. We are just reusing the AVAVAN level for the vulnerability testing. What else? I think we saw all the questions.
The hand raised in the meantime.
Thank you.
So I will allow to talk. You should be able now. If you're thinking, we are not hearing you. We see you muted still. The colleague who raised their hand. Okay, maybe a technical issue. We'll give some minutes. In the meantime, please continue, Stefan, if you had another question to answer.
Just looking on the chat. I think we cover almost everything. The supplier assessment, I answered to Patrick, Nathalie, Stefano.
All right, I see that we are more or less finished with the question. So then in that case, I would like to thank you, Stefan. Thank you, everyone who have joined us today. Thank you for your interest and for wanting to comment, to make this standard better. That's all we want. That's why we are trying to engage in these kind of events. So thank you, Stefan. I'm not sure if you want to have some closing remarks.
No, I would like to thank you all for your question. And it was really important for me, this deep dive, because it's also a challenge to be challenged. And thanks for your time and for your participation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. With that, stay tuned. There will be an automatic message that you'll receive for receiving the slides and recording. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you in our next event. Have a good day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lucia. Bye-bye.
Before you leave, if you want still, you can participate in our poll. Voila, I launched the poll right now.